Hello and a very warm welcome to you all. This is Game On and I'm Neha Bhardwaj-Orta. Today, let's begin the show with a question. What was India's darkest hour in the World Cups? We would all unanimously say Bangladesh beating India in 2007 World Cup in the West Indies. India, a team that had Sachin Tendulkar, Virendra Sehwag, Saurav Ganguly, Rahul Dravid, Yuvraj Singh, MS Dhoni, Anil Kumble, Harbhajan Singh, Zaheer Khan, they were thrashed by 5 wickets. What followed was extreme reactions from Indian fans back at home. Everybody said, how can India lose to Bangladesh? Fast forward to now, this rivalry has grown big over time, and whenever Bangladesh are playing India in World Cups, they seem to get a bit too emotional, and that at times brings out the worst in them in terms of their on-field behavior. Let's look back at quarterfinal in Melbourne in 2015 when Rohit Sharma and that no-ball controversy happened. Then in 2016 in the T20 World Cup, Mushfiqur, he started celebrating like crazy, thinking they will win, and they lost by 3 wickets. Last year's T20 World Cup, Virat Kohli signaled a no-ball. If you remember, Shakib-ul-Hasan wasn't happy. Kohli faked a throw then. Bangladesh players later on complained that it was against the rules. So there is that rivalry that people will be expecting. But what will the Indian team do today? Can they make it 4-0? They've already won their last 3 games. Chetan Narula, he joins us from outside the stadium in Pune. Jamie Alter is also on the show. Let's go straight to Chetan and tell us what's the vibe like, the mood there. There are too many blue shirts. Bangladesh players might have a problem like Pakistan did. Tell us what's going on.
Hello, Meha from Pune. Yes, it's a hot and sultry day here. A little bit of breeze just outside the stadium, but at the same time, the ground is starting to fill up with a sea of blue. A lot of Indian fans just waiting to get into the stadium, long queues. The stadium is on the outskirts of Pune, almost an hour from the center of Pune. And, it's not the easiest stadiums in India to get to, really. The BCCI and the local administration don't make it easy for the fans or even the traveling media to get to the stadium, but eventually we do arrive here. So a sea of blue outside, a lot of Indian fans waiting to get inside, and the Indian team is out warming up, a few cheers already going in. So should be a cracking game. Looks a good day for some cricket.
Absolutely. Jamie, let's also talk about this rivalry a bit. I was mentioning some of those incidents right in my introduction. This is going to be exciting because what we've seen is with Bangladesh, somehow, whenever they're playing India, especially in World Cups, they just have a point to prove. It's almost like they come with vengeance every time. So this is going to be a cracker of a match, no doubt.
Absolutely. I was discussing this offline with someone else. I'm not quite sure where this heated rivalry started. We all know 2007 was the World Cup that the ICC wanted to forget. Because that was the one, it had the most teams. It had 16 teams, the largest World Cup.
Okay, I think we just lost network with Jamie. I'll try to reconnect. But Chetan, you want to take that India-Bangladesh rivalry? Yes, of course, we all know the greatest being India-Pakistan. Okay, Jamie is back. So, yes, Jamie, continue. Sorry, Chetan, I'll come to you in just a bit. Yes, continue, Jamie.
Yeah. So again, so I think this rivalry sort of turned a corner that day because no one expected that Indian team with all those big players and that coaching staff to lose. Since then, I mean, look, I know that there have been some close rivalries, some very very close one. 2016 T20 World Cup, you mentioned Mushfiqur Rahim, Chetan and I were sitting in the press box. That was probably the closest it's ever come. And I know that the last 2 of the 3 one-days between these 2 teams have been won by Bangladesh. But I think if you look at the bigger picture, World Cup history, overall the record, I think India have won 30 out of 40 completed matches. So yes, there have been sparks of a rivalry, but overall it is over to India entirely. And like we discussed yesterday, given the form that India is in, given the players they have, given the conditions, and Chetan will probably shed light more on that when he gets back. I'm hopeful for the rivalry to sort of get hot again.
Yeah.
But I think the hottest thing we're going to see, like Chetan mentioned, is actually the weather in regards to this match.
Okay, this is what Virat Kohli had to say about this rivalry and also about playing Bangladesh. Let's put that quote up. He says, there are no big games or big teams rather in the World Cup. Whenever you start focusing only on bigger teams an upset happens. You have to play your best against all these bowlers, and if you aren't able to, these bowlers are able to create pressure and increase the chances of getting you out. Which then leads me to another big question. Will Shakib-ul-Hasan be playing today? Because we know that Indian batters have been troubled by left-arm spin more often than not. So that's another thing we'll watch out for, and we'll ask that question to our experts as well. But let's set this up for you. India will be hoping to get back to number one on the points table 24 hours after New Zealand took back that number one position from them by beating Afghanistan. India are unbeaten so far in the World Cup, and they will fancy a fourth win in a row when they meet Bangladesh in Pune, where conditions are expected to be stacked in favor of the batters. Rohit Sharma has won just one of the three tosses in the tournament so far, and on all three occasions, India have won chasing. Will Rohit look to break from that template and bat first on what looks like a belter of a pitch? This could be the match for India to try something different, especially with the years, leading run-getting Shubman Gill. He's back in the 11 with Gill, Rohit and Virat Kohli as their top three. India have a terrific trio on which the template for massive totals has been formed. And now that Shreyas Iyer has shown signs of returning to his best with two back-to-back unbeaten innings, runs under his belt, could put India in an even more formidable position ahead of tougher matches versus New Zealand and South Africa ahead. Bangladesh, meanwhile, are struggling with their batting, and they might not be with Shakib-ul-Hasan today. The skipper, he suffered a quadriceps injury in the previous game, but the management is confident he will be okay for today. India will not take Bangladesh lightly, as we've been saying, considering they've lost two of their last three ODIs to them and were pushed hard during the T20 World Cup last year. But this match presents Rohit and his team a good chance to test their bowlers when defending a total. Interesting one, which then takes me to what Rohit Sharma is likely to do if India wins the toss. Chetan, your thoughts on it? Do you see that template changing? Because so far, I think Rohit Sharma is very clear on chasing every time he gets a chance.
No, Meha, I think given the conditions that we have today and given what happened yesterday also in the evening, I think bowling first is the right option after winning the toss for either side. I think they will be mindful of the dew factor. It's really hot and humid, and there's supposed to be a cyclone building up in the Arabian Sea, which is going to affect games in Mumbai and Pune. No threat of rain today, but it's building up in the Arabian Sea, and which is why we can feel a lot of humidity here. And I think in Mumbai as well, when I go there for the South Africa-England game. But yeah, last evening there was a bit of rain. Temperatures really cooled down, a lot of breeze. And, when temperatures really cool down very quickly, then the likelihood of dew increases. So as we've seen through the tournament, batting in the lights has been the preferred option of most of the captains winning the toss. So either of the two captains winning toss today, I think they will opt to bowl also.
Jamie, would you agree as well, or do you think that that Rohit Sharma might want to bat first?
No, I mean, look, as Chetan just said, I mean, there's every reason to believe that they will look to chase. Somehow, I just go against, you want to say logic or you want to say past record. I still feel before the semi-final stage, before you face tougher teams, India should just look to bat first. If it's going to be hot and sultry, maybe you want to bat again. I'm just going against the logical pattern here, only because somehow I see this team so hell-bent on just chasing. Yeah. But you do want to put your batsmen into that position to see, can they get to 350? We all know they can. But, doing it and actually, finishing the job, that's one thing that I want to see. Plus, you want India to, can they, against slightly weaker teams, with no disrespect to Bangladesh, let's face it, they are a weaker team. This is the match. It's these matches, the Afghanistan matches, the Netherlands matches, the Bangladesh matches, and I'm going to put Sri Lanka in that same pool because how abject they've been. To my mind, without any sound logic, it's just a gut feel. These are the matches you want to give your team the best chance to bury the opposition under scorecard pressure and also see how your bowlers can do defending. I'd much rather they do it against these teams than a New Zealand or not. But I get it. There is enough logic with the weather, with the conditions, with the dew factor for Rohit Sharma chasing to chase. I would just want to see him bat against this team, Bangladesh.
Okay, let's also talk about Bangladesh, the opposition, Chetan. They've got a lot of problems. Unlike
Yeah.
India, who have everything sorted, Bangladesh's batting order, that's been a problem. You know, some feel Mehndi Hasan Miraj, he comes lower down. He should be coming slightly
Yeah.
up in the order. Also, Mushfiqur, who's been scoring runs, can they put him up the order? Then you know, it's their openers who haven't really given them the starts that they would like. So batting has been a problem for Bangladesh, and except for that first game against Afghanistan they won, they've suffered because of that.
And in that first game against Bangladesh, they were not chasing too big a total. They were chasing just 150 odd, I think, but they lost 3 or 4 wickets. So,
Yeah.
as we discussed during the Asia Cup, we've seen that, Bangladesh, in a way, are turning a corner. They've infused a lot of fresh blood in their batting lineup, but the fresh blood or the youth is not really picking up at the moment, and they will take some time to get accustomed to international cricket or the competition that is there in international cricket. Really, somebody like a Tanzid Hassan who's been opening for Bangladesh, he's considered to be a good prospect for the future, but he's not scored those big runs at the top. And like you said, there's a growing belief that a couple of the middle order batsmen should be batting up top. So from what I'm hearing, Tanzid Hassan might be dropped today, and they would have Mehndi Hasan Miraz opening the innings with Liton Das, and then that also allows Mushfiqur Rahim to bat one number up, and that would be the way to go for Bangladesh today. The big news is that Shakib Al Hasan, who's been suffering from a quadriceps injury, he suffered last week or in the last game. In fact, he is expected to pull through and still play this game. He's too big a player. Even if he's 90% fit, I think he would love to play against India in a World Cup game, in what is expected to be his last World Cup game. So that's the news. They might include an extra pacer in the lineup, because this ground is just, the boundaries are too short, and the spinners will be targeted today.
Okay, this is what their coach had to say about Shakib Al Hasan yesterday. He says Shakib Al Hasan's a doubtful starter, but he says he's had a good batting session. Yesterday, he did a bit of running between the wickets as well. We're waiting for the results of the scan we did today. We haven't, let's put that quote up of their coach. And then he says, we're waiting for the result of the scan we did today. We haven't tried his bowling yet. We will assess him tomorrow morning and make a decision. If he's not ready to play, we won't risk it. If he is ready, there's a chance of him playing tomorrow. Jamie, will they risk that? Given that this is a big match, given that, a lot is at stake, because Bangladesh from here on, they lose another game, it'll be very difficult for them to even think of trying to qualify. So will they risk playing Shakib Al Hasan?
I would have to say they will, and I agree with Chetan, a 90%, to my mind, even a 75% Shakib Al Hasan should be played just because of who he is, right?
Yeah.
He's their biggest star. I mean, and he's got a very good World Cup record. He's got a decent record against India. You just need him, right? Unfortunately, this team has gone through, I think I said it before, I don't know if there's any team which chops and changes so much than Bangladesh. Because they're dependent, as it is, on a good day, on 3, sometimes 4 players. You mentioned Mushfiqur. I mean, how long has he been around,
Yeah.
So just, and there's one more very interesting thing that I just found out this morning. Many of your viewers might not really care for past records. This is the first match that India and that Bangladesh is playing in India since 1998. Bangladesh played 3 matches in India during the 2006 Champions Trophy, and the other 3 matches came this year. The only player still around from 2006 happens to be the player we're talking about, Shakib Al Hasan. Now, times have changed, teams have changed, but something, you have to have a certain advantage of playing in a country, Yes, conditions between Bangladesh and India may not be too dissimilar in certain venues, but can you imagine a team which is struggling? Chetan highlighted how poor the batting was when they were chasing 150 against England. On top of that, you have no experience playing in India. Your prior experience, 99% of the team, is in this World Cup,
Yeah.
So they're battling the odds, they're battling the favorites. They have Shakib, who's not fit. I believe they will 100% risk him if he's 90%, just because of, he's not going to really have a massive say on the match if he's not fit, but just being there, sending down 10 overs, batting at 5, or even on one leg, he's just too big a player for them, Meha, to leave out.
Okay, now let's take a look at what the fans are doing outside. We've got some visuals coming in from Pune, and this is a big occasion for fans in Pune, you know, to be able to watch a World Cup match there. Yes, this stadium is 30 kilometers outside the main city, but take a look at that. You'll always see blue jerseys everywhere. To the disappointment of Pakistan team and Pakistan team management. But yes, you can expect another sea of blue at the stadium, and Chetan can give us more update on what that's like and whether the fans have started coming in, whether the whole stadium is full. He'll tell us, but take a look at that. And that has been the trend we've seen, Chetan, is that, you know, this team, because of the fact that they're doing so well, because of the fact that they look like they're going to go all the way, we're not going to jinx it, but yes, they look so good that you just have everybody, this being such a huge occasion, you just have everybody coming there and supporting this Indian team.
I'll tell you something. I sat in the cab today to come to the stadium, and there was no traffic there. And my cab driver said, you know, you're lucky there's no traffic today because everybody's going to the match. That's the kind of excitement there is among the people of Pune, who are a lot of locals here who are coming to see the game. Obviously, there's a lot of people from all parts of the country who live in Pune, because there's a big IT industry here. There are a lot of educational institutes over here in Pune as well. So a lot of Puneites coming to see the match. Big crowd coming from Mumbai. I've seen a few people coming from other parts of the country as well. But unfortunately, they are at the other side. The media is this side, so I'm here at the media end. But I can tell you, coming in, it's almost like a business day, you know, a big business day. Indian cricket always also provides big business. There are a lot of jerseys being sold. Obviously, they're not the original Adidas jerseys. But there's a lot of people nowadays wearing the original Adidas jerseys as well to the ground, which is good to see. And like you can see on the video, a lot of face painting, etc., also going on. Sudhir, who is the most well-known Indian traveling fan with all that body paint of Sachin Tendulkar, he's just walked past and he's added a new prop to his get-up. He's put a World Cup trophy on his head and he's taped it around his head. I'm not sure how you can do that throughout the day, but kudos to him to do that. It's the World Cup.
So one good thing is that he's now not painting his whole body, because he's got this shirt.
He's got the upper torso still painted.
Okay, he's still got that painted.
That's the Dhoni fan. That's the Dhoni fan who's smarter, who's got a bodysuit stitched and only paints his face nowadays.
Yeah, let's put those visuals up as well, and Chetan can continue to talk about them. I also look at this and say, you know, I think people are expecting another big rivalry and another big match between India and Bangladesh, because of what we have seen in the recent times. You know, Bangladesh, we know, can stretch this team. It's not going to be a one-sided affair. People know that Bangladesh come with this idea of trying to beat India. They are, in fact, the team, other than Pakistan, whose sole purpose is to come and beat India. And that's why you can expect them to come out all guns blazing. And I think that's what these people are expecting. But the other thing I noticed in that conversation with Chetan is that he's the only one I know who notices whether it's an original Adidas jersey or whether it's a fake jersey, given that he has all of them, just by the way. He's bought all of them, and I think the only one he doesn't have is the players' one with the tricolour on their shoulders. Chetan?
I've got that one as well. I've got that one as well. My mom said, you know, Adidas is making all its money thanks to me, which is a bit of an exaggeration. But moms, you know, it's good. It's good you brought up the rivalry word, and I want to tell a story from 2007. I was a student in Pune in 2007. I was doing my MBA here, and I remember the day India played Bangladesh. You know, in our mess room, we had the television on. We were a group of 20 guys, cricket fanatics all. Obviously, the game was in West Indies, so we were watching it from obviously evening onwards, and we watched as India lost. And I'll tell you, we were upset. I went to bed, you know, with tears in my eyes, because, oh my God, yes, I mean, I was just a kid then, 23 years old, but still, it was probably the most shocking loss for India in World Cup history. And probably, for me, I think it was the second biggest loss after the 1996 semi-final, the way they lost to Sri Lanka there. But then I was even younger then. This team was bigger. This team had bigger players than the 96 team. In the 96 team, we hardly had one Sachin Tendulkar and a Vinod Kamble. Yes, they were Jadeja and Azharuddin, but really, in terms of world-class players, how many world-class players did the 96 team have?
Yeah.
But the 2007 team, Yuvraj was there, Dravid was there, Ganguly, Sehwag, I mean, Zahir, obviously Sachin, MS Dhoni. How could you lose in 2007?
Yeah.
And the rivalry started there because,
Absolutely.
look, in a David versus Goliath battle, if David beats Goliath the first time, he can think that I can beat Goliath again and again and again and again. And Goliath will think, oh, listen, how dare you beat me the first time? You can never beat me again. And I think from then onwards, that was the starting point of our rivalry. Bangladesh realized on their day they can run India close, as we saw in 2016, as we saw last year at Adelaide. If rain hadn't intervened, India had lost that game in Adelaide. They would have lost that game in Adelaide. Absolutely. And he's playing today. So, look, this is a bubbling rivalry. I would say it's only second to India versus Pakistan in terms of the subcontinental rivalry. It's a greater rivalry than India versus Sri Lanka.
Let's also find out from Jamie what he was doing when India lost, because I remember 2007, there was a show that, that the channel that I was working for, they'd sold it to the sponsors, so we had to do, and it was a long tournament. Jamie, you said, there were too many teams. And then India gets out in the group stages, and we still had to continue. I had Krishnamachai Srikanth as one of my guests and Vakar Yunus in the studio with me every day at 7:30 without fail. We were doing shows. Then, of course, there was the whole, the whole Bob Woolmer incident. But yes, I clearly remember we were all shocked. I think, people, sponsors who had sold out the money, would put the money in programming, they would have been shocked. Nobody expected that. Jamie, what was your experience?